Hello my friends and welcome back to Italy, a place to love YouTube channel. Okay, so you're welcome in my Saturday video, and Saturday is usually when I do the one-to-one video, and so when I like to share my opinion with you that you're watching. And so then I want to introduce you here my buddy, what I call him the Tinker. Okay, he's always here with me. Usually I keep it over there. This time I decided to be to have the Tinker just beside my camera with me, beside me, in front of the camera. And so, what do I want to talk today? Now, yesterday I watched a very interesting video. Okay, I will put the link of the video in the description under my video, and the video is called "How Italy became the most divided country in Europe." Now, if you love Italy, if you are following this channel, is because you are interested in Italy, you know very well Italy is a divided country, north and south. Then we can also put the center, but generally we can say this division between north and south. Okay, now it's a video that in 4 days had made more than 500,000 views, so means people are very interested in this topic to have 500,000 views. And so I repeat the title: How Italy Became the Most Divided Country in Europe, or we can also say in the Western world, in the civilized world. Anyway, there are a lot of discrepancy, there are a lot of diversity, a lot of things are dividing the north from the south of Italy. And now, because the video was quite long, and I'll recommend you anyway to watch this video because it's very interesting, and it gives all the reasons why is divided into, which I agree in all the reason. I mean, it's impossible to disagree with this video. It's not made by Italian. Anyway, I don't think this video is made by someone who is, I don't know, it doesn't say RealLifeLore, that's the name of the channel. Anyway, let's start because I had to take notes here with me. So basically, let's start. No other country in Europe is divided like Italy, like so. As I said before, this division between north and the south of Italy. The first point, let's start. Population. Now, population of Italy, it's well known here. Anyway, each point here, it needs a video for me because it's such a big topic. But let's make it shortly, each point. Population. Now, the majority of the people in Italy lives in the north of Italy. And let me say, in the south of Italy is living much more or less people. And it's well known, for example, here, the fact that southern Italians are leaving the south of Italy, are emigrating to the north of Italy or to other parts in Europe. And is also well known, like in the history, anyway, for the last decades. Anyway, Italian people were leaving this land here in the south of Italy. Then, what else I can say? The second point, for example, infrastructures. I have to say, for example, that if you take a map of Italy, of the motorways, or of the railways, or the efficiency of the road, the quality of the roads, you will see, for example, in the map of Italy with the motorways, you will see that most of the motorways are concentrated in the north of Italy. The same with the railways. There are two different speeds. For example, in the north of Italy, you might find the fast railway nearly everywhere. Milan, Turin, Venice, Bologna, they're all very well connected. Up to Rome, if you already have to arrive to Naples, let me say, you already have to slow down the speed of the fast train. Anyway, and this was the second point, infrastructures to move. Anyway, we all know that in the south of Italy, for example, are very bad. Then, also, it was making the point in the video about the voting. When people go to vote, you will see, if you see the map, how the division, I mean the percentage of people who are going to vote, for example, for the elections, you see that the majority of the people who are going to vote are in the north of Italy. Then, sometimes when I say the north, I also include the center. But let me say north, for each thing that I'm mentioning now, I divide into north and south, but then consider that, for example, population is high in the north of Italy, is medium in the center, and is low in the south. Motorways, system, infrastructure, high in the north, medium in the center. The southern you go, you will find less and less and less. And the same is for people who are going to vote. For example, you will see that in the south of Italy, a very low percentage of people are going to vote. Then, here was mentioning the HDI score, that I don't really know exactly what the HDI score is, but is again related with wealth. And let me say, the lowest in Italy about this HDI score, it was mentioned about two regions in particular, okay, which are Calabria and Sicily. Calabria and Sicilia, they have the lower HDI rate in all the Western countries, for example. I say it's related to the wealth. Then, if you know about this HDI score, you can just write under the comment section, and maybe you can make me aware about what's this HDI score. But here in the video was saying that anyway, Calabria and Sicily are the ones that have the lowest score in Italy and the lowest score in Europe. Then, about economy, the GDP, okay, that in Italy we call PIL, P-I-L, Prodotto Interno Lordo. So sometimes most of the Italians, when they're mentioning the GDP, they call it PIL, PIL, Prodotto Interno Lordo, the GDP per capita. And so here one very important thing to say, that anyway the south of Italy has a very low GDP. Now, this is something that I've been discussing with my friends and so on, with families, to let you understand the diversity between the north and the south of Italy. So that the south of Italy has a very low GDP, okay? While the north of Italy has a very high GDP. Now, it's in the video, and this is true, I know this for so many years, that for example, if we take only the GDP of three regions, okay, which are Lombardy, Veneto is the region where Venice is the capital, Lombardy, Milan is the capital, and then we have this region at the border with Austria, called Trentino Alto Adige. If we take the GDP of these three regions only, now we'll find out that these three regions have a higher GDP than Germany and the UK, for example. Why? Because anyway, also Piedmont region, we can include anyway, generally the north of Italy GDP, if we take the GDP only of the northern Italian regions, that's higher than the German GDP. Anyway, this is a matter of fact that you can find. But anyway, obviously then the average, if the south of Italy has a very low GDP, and then we do the average between the north and the south, obviously we find out that the GDP level decrease, because you have to make the average, because anyway, as Italy, as the whole country. Then, unemployment. Unemployment, this is another very important thing. For example, we will find out that, for example, in the north of Italy, the unemployment rate, we are under the 5%. So I was born in the north. I never had problems, for example, to find a job, to work, until I stayed until the age of 30 when I left. Um, Anyway, in Italy, in the north of Italy, unemployment rate, we are under 5%. Then, listen to this. If we are going to Sicily, for example, again, where Sicily is the region in Italy that has the higher percentage of unemployment. Now, in the statistic, it says that it's between 20 and 30% of the people who are unemployed. There might be some reasons, some reason in particular. Maybe women are working less. There's still this traditional type of family where women, don't take me, I'm not discriminating anyone. It's simply another matter of fact that in Italy, in the south of Italy, even here, you might see that the majority of the women are still housewives, for example. They don't go to work. Maybe they would like to go to work, but maybe also for a lack of job, they don't go to work. Anyway, then someone has to mind the children. There is a lack of system, for example, of crashes, or so. Let me say, you might find more help in the north of Italy than in the south, even from the government, uh, for the unemployment. So south of Italy is between 20, Sicily, maybe we can even say that is even higher than 30%. Nobody knows the reality, because then you know that a lot of people who are not applying anymore for a job, they don't even re-enter anymore. For example, me, I'm not applying for any job. I don't want to work at all. I will only go to work if I really, really have to, I don't know. But I'm not dreaming to go back to work, to be honest. So, and because I'm not even searching, I don't even re-enter in the system of the unemployment. Then geography. For example, here in the video, it says that because the north of Italy is closer to the continental Europe, is part of the continental Europe, for example, is better commute, better trade. So, and because the south of Italy, for example, there is the peninsula, obviously this it finds that the south of Italy is more detached from the rest of Europe, let me say, and for this reason also makes the south of Italy less developed, for example. While, for example, this could be a great potential. Um, in my understanding, the south of Italy could be a carrier into the Mediterranean. You know, these aircraft carriers, it's simply a hub that potentially could become something very powerful, but have been kept underdeveloped for so many years, since the unification of Italy. For them, for example, we have water scarcity. That's another thing. For example, the two regions who are worse with water, okay, with water sources, one is Sicily, again, and the other one is Apulia region, Puglia. Calabria and Basilicata, Campania, Abruzzo, Molise, they are in a better situation. But for example, the north of Italy is in a better situation because there is the main river in Italy that is called Po River and goes across all to Padana, la pianura Padana, the Padania Valley, let me say. So from Turin, from the western mountains, from the western Alps, go down all to the north of Italy, and so this gives access to fresh waters. With all the rivers that then are going down to the Po River from the Alps and from the Apennines. So this gives, for example, a very good resource of water. Then the ports, for example, I said before about the ports, that the south of Italy, technically, for his position, should be technically in a better condition. I mean, it should have more ports than the north of Italy. Which is not. I mean, the most two important ports in Italy, you will find them in the north of Italy. One is in Trieste. Trieste is the capital of Friuli Venezia Giulia region, and the other one is Genova, the capital of Liguria region. Now, in the video it says why, because because the lack of infrastructure, again, if there are no motorways or if there are no railways, if goods arrive to Sicily, to Calabria or to Napoli, and then you don't have the infrastructure to bring to Holland, for example, so better they arrive straight away to these ports in the north of Italy. So, and then you can deliver goods straight away to all the rest of Europe. Makes sense? Anyway. Then, number 10, the risk of earthquakes. Okay, so basically, the south of Italy is more exposed to the earthquakes than the north of Italy, even if there are some areas in the north of Italy where have been recorded big earthquakes, for example, also in Friuli Venezia Giulia, and but most of the earthquakes are in the south of Italy. Related to this, there is another point, the volcanoes. So in Italy there are plenty of volcanoes, okay? And the majority, I mean, they are all in the south of Italy. They are all distributed between Lazio region, Calabria, Calabria, Campania, Sicily. The Sicilian islands are surrounded by many volcanoes. So volcanoes and earthquakes, again, everything in the south. Then, another point, hydroelectricity, for example. 80% of the hydroelectricity in Italy is produced in the north of Italy. Again, here is connected with the rivers because most of the mountains are in the north of Italy with all the Alps, all these rivers that are coming down the mountains. So they give a lot of electricity production through the hydropower plants, for example. So there's more electricity in the north of Italy than has to be distributed down to the south. Then it could be more expensive, for example, in the south of Italy comparing to the north, simply because there is all this transportation. In my bill, actually in my electricity bill, I pay a lot of money just for the transportation of the electricity, not only the price per kilowatt hour. Anyway, then industry, factories, they are all in the north of Italy, in Padania, in this area that goes from Torino, Milano, Venice, and Genova. Okay, the industrial triangle back in the last century, all the 20th century, was Torino, Genoa, and Milan. This was called the industrial triangle. So factories, production, more employment, more jobs, and so. While, for example, the south of Italy has only few factories. Let me say, there are some, obviously, I'm not saying there's nothing, but again, most of the industrialization, it happened in the north of Italy, and the south had been abandoned. Since when? Good question. Okay, then Italy, someone said, now I don't remember who, but in the video it says, and to be honest, I totally agree with this sentence. Okay, now don't get upset if you love Italy. I know everyone loves Italy, I love Italy, but this person that is mentioned in the video, he was an Austrian philosopher or writer, and he said Italy is a mere geographical expression. And I have to agree, I agree 100%. So I don't really see, because, anyway, yes, geographically, let me say the Alps make this border, then all the peninsula. Obviously, then we see the map all drawn with the same color, we see this boot, and obviously we might think, okay, so Italy is a nation. But then, because the history was so different between let me say most of the regions of Italy, that this made also people completely different. Again, if I take a Sicilian who had, for example, Arab influence for 300 years, and then I take Trentino Alto Adige, this region at the border with Austria, where they are native German speakers. Find me, what do they have in common, these two? I think there's more in common between a French and a German than a Sicilian and inhabitant of Trentino Alto Adige. Believe me, I see more similar Germans and French than a Sicilian to an inhabitant of Trentino Alto Adige. Then feudalism lasted longer in the south of Italy than in the north. This obviously was made because the history, so technically the land belonged to only few owners, and there's still kind of this problem. It's not that as it used to be, for example, up to few centuries ago, but still, anyway, there is this feudalist mentality about the agriculture. Then alphabetization, so how people are literate. Now we still find that in the south of Italy people are studying much less than in the north of Italy. For example, in Sicily, Campania, Puglia, you might find a very high percentage of people, of teenagers, students who don't even finish the mandatory schools, who are now up to 16 years old, if I'm not wrong. When I finished, for example, my compulsory school, mandatory compulsory, the age was 14 when I finished my primary school. Let me say I was 14. At that age I could have stopped, for example, going to school. Then I decided to keep studying. But in the south of Italy we still have a very high percentage of people who are leaving this school even before it ends the mandatory. Then emigration from the south to the rest of the world. Still we are still facing now in 2024 a massive depopulation. This is gonna be another constantly a topic of this video, because here every day people are discussing just to leave this land because they want to go or to the north of Italy or to Northern Europe or to United States or to Australia. Anyway, everyone wants to leave. And then tourism. Okay, even the tourism. Now, this is the last point. Even the tourism that we might think, for example, okay, because the south of Italy has all these beaches. No, the south of the tourism is concentrated for 50-60% in the north of Italy. Another 20-25% in the center of Italy, and only a 15-20% is in the south of Italy. So not even the tourism industry had been developed here in the south of Italy. Okay, so here, now to close this video, I want to put 2-3 considerations. Hopefully the video is not gonna stop. Now here it gave a lot of reasons why there is this division. He never said why there are all these divisions, because I think this is the question that every one of us would ask to ourselves. Okay, we see that Italy is different in this, in this, in this, and this and that. I point you all the things that mainly where Italy is different between the north and the south. But my question is, why there is this division? What it caused this? I mean, I can make videos, I will make videos about this, but so it's kind of unfair for the Southern Italian. Now, there is a stereotype that describe, for example, Southern Italian as lazy people, but that's not totally true, because most of the Italians who emigrate to United States, to Germany, to UK, to France, to Belgium, anywhere, they built that countries. They were actually very hard workers, okay? So even in the north of Italy. Now, my parents were born in the south of Italy. They left south of Italy to go to work in the north. I mean, they help other countries to become richer simply because their work, and so more people work, more the GDP grows, and so there was this need of this labor, for example, in the north of Italy. Where do we take this labor? Let's take it from a place where there's no job, not because people are lazy, simply because there's no job. People are desperate, there's no job, they are leaving. But then my question is, who is not creating the job. And then here is my point, because I need to make a video, for example, all these reasons why, all the reasons why now Italy is a different country. For me, each point here is actually a potential nowadays. I don't see every single point in this video, I see it as a potential. That's why I've relocated here in the south of Italy. And I will explain point by point why it's better now to move to the south of Italy than to the north. So, for example, obviously I might say, okay, if you don't need to work, the south of Italy is the best place on the planet. I mean, you don't really, I mean, if you have a source of income, for example, here you can happily live with much less money, for example, than in the north of Italy or in the rest of Europe. Anyway, I will make a video about every single point here that I pointed here, and I will show you why it's better now to have less population, for example, why it's better to have even less infrastructure, for example. So I see everything I want to see everything in a positive way, because without a positive thinking, I would be only mad that I've relocated here in an area that is totally depressed. It doesn't have any potential. But personally, I actually see a huge potential. So all this discrimination that now is coming to the south of Italy, and I grew up in this discrimination because my education was based on poor, a word that I don't want to say, on these lazy people. I've been educated like this because I was born in the south of Italy, even if I was originally, I mean, even if my blood is 100% Southern Italian, but I've been extremely educated to believe that this place is underdeveloped and depressed. This might actually be true, but I see it as a huge potential nowadays in 2024. Okay, my friends, I hope you enjoyed the video. I will put in the description the video if you want to watch this video that has 500,000 views after you watch mine. And so I'll see you to my next video tomorrow, after tomorrow, soon, with my different type of videos. And I wish you a lovely day. Bye, ci vediamo al prossimo video. Ciao!